in Baldwin, if you guys from Roberts are joining us. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about holiday eating tips. I figured it's a great time of the year to talk about it since we're going to hit some major holidays that tend to involve a lot of food. So feel free to ask questions afterwards. But I figured we could just kind of give you some helpful tips, and let's get started then. There we go. So obviously we all know that during this time of the year, food is everywhere. So it can be very challenging for us to stick to our healthy eating and exercise habits. But, you know, hopefully with this presentation, this will offer you some tips so that you can stay on track as best as you can. So with that being said, the first tip I think is the most important one. And that is to make sure that you eat beforehand. So many times people tend to eat, they like to skip like breakfast and lunch and kind of save those calories for the end of the day when they have that big meal. And a lot of times when we see that, that's when we see that overeating come into play. So it's important to stay on track. So try to maintain your normal eating habits. You know, have your meals, have your snacks, so that you can stay at that kind of comfortable level so that you don't overeat, so that you're not too, where that hunger is building up, where you end up being too hungry and then really overdo it when that holiday meal comes around the corner. Next tip is, you know, contributing a healthy dish. I think this is always kind of a nice one because then you always will have a dish to fall back on, especially if you feel like it gets to be a little overwhelming, especially if you're at somebody else's house. By ensuring that you have that one healthy dish, whether it's, you know, a tray full of veggies or fruit or maybe a charcuterie board, that's always a good fallback in terms of just having that healthy option available at those meals. Surveying the options. So I think this is kind of a nice one where if we can kind of pay attention to the whole meal before we start choosing those items on our plate. So looking at all the options available and trying to give each option our full attention. That way, you know, maybe it's a matter of, okay, if we give ourselves that full attention, then we can kind of determine, okay, do we want to choose those favorites versus, you know, maybe choosing those things that we can have on a regular basis, things like chips and cheese and crackers, things that are available all year long. Do we really want those things? Do we really need those things? And then that gives us more opportunity to maybe choose those healthy things that aren't as available throughout the year. You know, making sure that you're honoring your choices. And then, of course, pick those items before putting on the plate so that we're not putting those kind of mindless things on the plate, that what we choose are the things that we want to, you know, enjoy and have during that holiday meal. Think colors. So adding lots of fruits and vegetables to our meals, that's a great way to add good fiber, good nutrition, things that are going to help fill us up, but things that are going to be nutritionally dense. And then once again, maybe helping us not overindulge on some of those other things that tend to be a little bit more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Things that are not maybe as nutritionally dense, but things that are favorites. So that if we kind of balance that meal out, we can have that nice variety in some of those treats that we enjoy without overdoing it at the same time. Mindful eating, I think this is definitely a nice strategy that a lot of people find that can be very helpful, especially during the holiday season, by just slowing things down, experiencing the food. I think that can be super helpful in terms of us enjoying those treats without going super overboard. So things that you can certainly do when it comes to mindful eating is, you know, when you take a bite, asking yourself the questions of, what does it look like? What does it smell like? What does that food taste like? Do you have any fond memories of those foods? You know, things that just make that experience that much more enjoyable versus just shoveling it all in and really not experiencing the food itself. We recommend eating slowly, taking small bites, chewing your food well, really, once again, enjoying it, allowing yourself to enjoy the experience. And then, of course, eating until you're satisfied versus being full or stuffed. Once again, using that hunger scale as a guide in terms of kind of rating when you are satisfied to when you are full, and trying to be at, like, once again, that 2 or 3 or 4 versus at that 1 or 5 basically. And then giving yourself a 20 to 30 minute window after you eat that meal, because that's what it takes in terms of your stomach signaling to your brain that you are satisfied or full. So a lot of times if we allow ourselves that 20 to 30 minute window, that can help prevent us from going back and getting the seconds and then getting way too full off of what we ate. Beverages, that can certainly be another tricky area during the holiday. So these are just some tips in terms of, you know, how can we kind of maybe cut back on the sugar or the calories or the alcohol when it comes to beverages during those holiday season. I think the most important tip is, you know, just trying to stick with lower calorie or calorie-free beverages versus maybe those higher things. If we choose to do things like alcohol, you know, maybe do so in moderation. Or kind of another helpful hint is, could we alternate that alcohol with a calorie-free beverage? So that way we're not overindulging on the alcohol, but we're still allowing ourselves to have some alcohol during the holiday season. And then, you know, if you do choose, you know, what are maybe some of those lower calorie or lower sugar options? Things like spritzers or a glass of wine, those are going to be better options when it comes to the alcohol containing beverages that are going to be lower in sugar and or calories. And then when it comes to, you know, hot beverages, you know, cinnamon tea, I think that's a great option if you're feeling like something hot, but something that's not going to be like super sugary or super, you know, calorically dense like hot chocolate can be, but still give you that sweetness from the cinnamon. Overindulging, obviously, you know, we tell our patients or our clients, you know, don't feel guilty if you do overindulge. I mean, you're only human, don't dwell on it. It's okay if it happens. It's just good to know that, you know, it's that one meal, and just to try to get back on track at that next meal. So just making healthier choices at the next meal, resuming your regular eating pattern, just knowing that, you know, just getting back on track thereafter is what we want to focus on if you do overindulge. And then of course on the other side of things, making sure that you're not restricting, because restricting obviously can lead to overeating in the long run. And of course, we want to make sure that we get that nice balance where, you know, once again, allowing yourself to have those treats, but once again, not overdoing it at the same time and not restricting at the same time. Other tips to note during the holiday seasons, kind of things to help, you know, kind of keep you away from that mindless grazing maybe, is visiting with the people, not the food. So if there are, you know, maybe family or friends that you haven't seen and you only see them during the holidays, you know, taking the time and enjoying their company, visiting with them versus, you know, sitting at the table and just continuing to eat. Making sure that when you are socializing, you know, staying away from the buffet table or where the food is, kind of separating yourself from that, because I think a lot of times when we do visit, there is that mindless eating there where we're really not paying attention to what we're putting in our mouth because the food is just there and as we're socializing. It's okay to say no politely to those food pushers. I don't know if you guys do deal with that, but I know my grandma always was a food pusher. And it's okay to say no. And then once again, savoring those seasonal treats, you know, taking the time to really taste and enjoy that treat. Once again, putting that mindful eating in there, you know, so if you enjoy that piece of pumpkin pie or pecan pie, it's okay to have that. Just maybe have a smaller piece and savor it. Take your time, enjoy it. Once again, not shoveling it in. When it comes to maybe just making healthier swaps, I mean, if that's something that you're looking for, these are just some tips in terms of how to kind of maneuver things if you want to just try to make maybe that side dish or that meal a little healthier. These are just some tips that I pulled together in terms of ways to do that. So for example, like if you have dips, you know, can you use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream? Maybe instead of doing the good old fashioned green bean casserole, could you do green bean almondine? Much lower calorie option, but it's still incorporating those yummy green beans into the holiday meal. If you have appetizers, could you do things like shrimp cocktail, something that's going to be a nice healthy protein, but isn't going to be those fried options that a lot of times that we see at those holiday meals. Using olive oil and herbs instead of cream or cheese and veggie dips or dishes. So still a way to incorporate flavor into the meals, because obviously we want you to have flavor, but maybe a lower calorie or fat alternative. So still giving your veggies that good flavor, but using, like I said before, the olive oil and the herbs versus the cheese or the cream. Maybe doing roasted veggies instead of stuffing. I mean, that could be an alternative, just to help cut down on maybe a lot of those heavy carbs that we like to see at our holiday meals. If you're one that likes sweet potatoes, could you do like baked sweet potatoes with a little bit of brown sugar and cinnamon versus that kind of heavy sweet potato casserole topped with all those marshmallows? Could that be an option? Or even doing like mashed cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes, or having half mashed cauliflower, mixing it with the mashed potatoes to kind of help pull down some of that starch content of the meal. Another option could be, maybe mixing mashed celery root with the mashed potatoes. That's a way that you can still give yourself that good hearty mashed potatoes, but adding a little bit more of that nutritional density to it. And then finally replacing like the sausage and the white bread and butter stuffing with maybe some whole grains, some nuts, some broth for some added flavor, or water, but still having a hearty stuffing without the extra, carbs and fats to it. Any questions? I know it's a fast presentation. Any questions that anybody has for me that I didn't cover? Or any tips that people are looking for that maybe I can answer?
Do you offer any like recipes and then you make the dish and then we come and try it?
Ooh, that's a good.
Before we, use our family. We'll be your guinea pigs.
We have a potluck this Friday.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good way to maybe incorporate something in there. That's a great
That's a really
idea.
good idea. I was just thinking with that, my mom has a great recipe for green beans with herbs and olive oil, because my brother is dairy free, so all
Yep.
those things are off the table.
Yep.
They are so good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking about like recipe sharing, so those healthy options would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. But yeah, that's a great idea. I might have to whip something up for the potluck this at the end of the week.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I love that green bean almondine. I'd rather have that any day than like the good old fashioned green bean casserole. To me, that's just so heavy and salty. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, but I love like the green bean almondine where you have like the sliced almonds on top and maybe a little olive oil and some seasonings and just fresh green beans with it. I mean, to me, that's just such a nice flavorful option, but it's not that heavy option, because I think a lot of times the holiday meals can be very heavy, and what are things that we can do to kind of lighten it up a little bit? Definitely. And just, having that nice balance of things too, incorporating, it's okay to incorporate things like stuffing and mashed potatoes and that kind of stuff, but can you balance it out with other things like the fruits and the veggies, some good protein, some lean protein, just have a nice balanced meal without, being too heavy on one component, basically. I think that's another key. Definitely. Yeah.
Have you ever made deviled eggs with Greek yogurt instead of milk?
I haven't
Mayo?
personally.
Me neither. I was just asking.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try that before my family comes.
Yeah. I'm not a huge deviled eggs fan, but I should ask my sister-in-law, because she's always the one that makes the deviled eggs, so I should have her maybe experiment with that. That's great, once again, that Greek yogurt can be such a great alternative, something that adds a little bit more protein, but it's a lower fat alternative, definitely. And it has that same consistency as sour cream, so it's a great alternative. And to me personally, I think it's very similar flavored wise too. Cause I've done it with like dips and stuff, like I'll make like a homemade like ranch dip and I'll use that instead. And I feel like it really doesn't make a huge difference in terms of the taste of that dip. Another one that's come up a lot from patients, I haven't tried it yet, but a lot of people, and maybe some of you guys have heard of it, they'll use like cottage cheese as an alternative. And I'll see this more with like my bariatric surgery patients who are really trying to up their protein game. They'll use that and they'll blenderize it down into like a whipped consistency and then add the seasonings to that and use that low-fat cottage cheese as a dip option versus like the sour cream. So that too is something that a lot of people will use as a great alternative, especially if they're trying to up their protein game. Yeah. But I think, like the charcuterie boards, I think those are such a popular thing. A lot of people love, being extra creative with those things. And that's an easy way that you can certainly put a lot of nice healthy foods together, but without, making it super heavy either at the same time. And I feel like that's always a good thing that a lot of people enjoy picking from, definitely. Yeah. That's what we'll do at our house a lot, is a charcuterie board. Well, like a Sunday night, we don't feel like cooking a big meal. Let's just put together a charcuterie board. And the kids love it. I mean, and it's a fun way to, incorporate all sorts of things. You can throw grapes on there, you can throw raw veggies on there, meats and cheeses, and whole grain crackers, and nuts, and olives. And I mean, it's just a fun way to, put a quick, easy, fun meal together too. Absolutely.
Well, I'm punting for Carrie today, for those of you so bear with me. But today is also the kickoff for the Maintain Good Gains Challenge. And so it's free. It goes today through January 6th. And you basically are taking a pre-assessment and a post-assessment so that you can see if you've been able to maintain over the holidays, rather than trying to lose weight during the holidays. Maintaining is a huge win over the holidays.
Absolutely. And I believe within that, we are gonna put recipes in there too. So if people are looking for more recipe ideas, I think that is the goal, is that we're gonna try to sneak some recipes in with there. So that if, people are looking for more options or ideas.
Yeah. So if you want to be a part of this challenge, there's the pre-assessment and the sign up in the fitness center. For those of you who are off-site, I can drop stuff off at Robert's later today if you want to be a part of it. Otherwise, we can email them out and you guys can email them back. That would be fine too. Reach out to Carrie or me if you would like us to send them electronically. Facebook group is where we're gonna have healthy tips, recipes, and motivation. Don't know what that means, but I'm sure Carrie has lots of great ideas. And you'll be entered to win prizes such as massage, personal training, and eatery bucks. So all you do is you sign up, you do your pre-assessment, you work really hard to make good choices over the holidays, because we know that's always hard, and then you take a post-assessment to see how you did. So starting today.
Right now.
You can do it right now if you want to. I've got stuff here too, for those of you who are here in person. Any questions about that?
You don't have to be a member of the fitness center.
You do not. Nope, this is for anybody who's an employee. They just have them in the fitness center for signups, but I do have some here too, if you guys want to do it before you leave today.
Danielle, any suggestions? So I'm going home to Texas.
Oh, boy.
And my sister and I are splitting up the duties for cooking.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be kind of cool to bring some of these ideas in. But how can I, encourage my family members to be like, it's good. I know it's just a matter of trying things, or maybe it's the only option, so.
Right. No, I think that, just having the variety available and, I mean, encouraging people to just try at least a little bit of it, they might like it. I mean, it's amazing that, if you just kind of take the initiative and just try a bite or two, you might find that you really like something,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if that's something too, is that could you offer samples to the family to see if, they want to try the dish before you throw it out there.
Yeah, the Holderness family, I don't know if y'all are familiar with them on Facebook or whatever, but they have a Wisconsin family. They're in the South, but they have a Wisconsin family that lives in their neighborhood or something. And so there's always lots of jokes going back and forth, but there was a video recently about Thanksgiving and bringing the good casserole and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's that.
Absolutely.
Any good recipes for sweet potatoes that don't involve sugar or marshmallows?
French fries baked. I mean,
I
Are you wanting
honestly, I
casserole?
still put cinnamon on it. I mean, I think cinnamon's a great alternative, definitely, because it gives you a little bit of sweetness. But, it doesn't like impact like the sugar content in something. So typically, I mean, that's what I would recommend. I mean, I grew up and we always did it where we had like a little brown sugar on there, we'd throw cinnamon on there, and then we would bake it in the oven. My mom would always like, kind of slice it and throw it in like a casserole type dish and then, just sprinkle it with a little brown sugar and cinnamon and just bake it. And that was always a good way to, just make it kind of somewhat whole without all that added stuff. But you could just even do just the cinnamon and that would still give you some good flavor, absolutely, absolutely.
sweet potato casserole must be popular. I never grew up with it, so no clue. I like sweet potatoes, but.
I like them as is.
I like them with marshmallows.
I do, yeah, I do too, I like them as is.
Yeah, those you don't need much.
No, you don't, Yeah. That was one that my mom really never did like with the marshmallows and stuff, and it's just like, oof.
Like the canned sweet potatoes and the marshmallows.
I don't care if you can't buy the cans or you puree your own, it still feels
Yeah.
like food.
It's almost like a dessert in itself.
Yeah. I'm curious, is that thinly sliced ham on that? Or what is that?
It looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't know if you took a picture of something you made.
No.
Prosciutto probably with melon.
Yeah, I was trying to see if it was prosciutto or ham, but it looks
It looks to me more like ham.
like sliced, really thinly sliced ham.
Mhm.
That's actually,
Or Canadian bacon really thinly sliced.
Could be, yeah.
and is that one blueberry or is that a cherry
I'm
or?
guessing it's an olive.
Yeah,
Oh.
Black olive, yeah.
Black olive. Okay,
I
got that
think
might
it
be.
came, I think it came with the presentation when I pulled up the presentation
Oh,
on,
sure.
on the template.
The designer.
Yeah. You know how sometimes they already have the pictures automatically thrown in there.
All right. Any other questions from anybody online? Also, do you want to talk about the whole house potluck on Friday since we,
Well, sure, it's
Have a
through the
group-
nursing council, so it's not
okay.
necessarily from HR
Does
marketing,
Dina know
but.
about it since she's sitting here?
But it's okay, I can
Potluck, I
still,
don't know enough
Yeah.
about
I
it.
do, hold on a
Perfect.
moment.
is it 11:30 to 1:30?
Talking about dog and, coming back home and if they need me. With my husband, cause he's gone. Yes, so we have a potluck on Friday, and I know there's a clinic potluck on Wednesday. But what did you wanna know in specifically? I think there's a sign up, there's a
Yep,
sign
there's
up
a
through
sign up
Sign Up Genius. I think a lot of the dessert options are already maybe filling in pretty quickly, but because everybody wants to bring sweets.
Sure.
But yeah, you can go to any of our flyers and like do the
Yeah,
QR
there's a
code and go to Sign Up Genius.
Perfect.
Yep. I think that's,
11:30 to 1:30, and
and
there's plugs
big,
for
kind of a
crock
big
pots.
thing too is that we're getting chicken from Nielsen's
Nice.
and they're requiring a $5 prepayment to Alex so she can go pick it up with payments in hand. So find Alex DeGrosse and give her some money if you want the chicken. That's always a good option. We used to do that.
It's like we're
In the
bringing it
past.
back to the old days, like this was a thing way back in the day.
Okay. Yeah. So is it just they're like roasted chicken or?
Roasted chicken.
Okay.
Is it really good?
It's
Oh, it's gonna
good.
be a roasted chicken
Yeah.
instead of the fried chicken?
I think it's roasted chicken.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome.
Good chicken.
Yeah, they do have good chicken.
And then sign up for science or whatever, and it would be a lovely way to test some healthy recipes out.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
gonna
try
be
your deviled
observing
egg.
surgery, so I only thought on the Friday one, but Wednesday I'm
There you go.
Oh, yeah,
bringing those small Costco pumpkin pies.
that's right. That's right.
Those are good.
They actually have small ones?
No, I was being facetious. Yeah.
They're like, wow.
They're
They've
they're
come a long
huge.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got 2 of them and after I got to looking at them, I thought, wow, huh. They're pretty big. I'm not a huge pumpkin pie eater, but pumpkin bars, yes.
Well, perfect. Thank you guys for coming. I have everybody recorded, I believe. So if by chance you don't see your points, let Carrie know that I missed you somehow. Otherwise, thank you, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Thank you.
Of course.